everybody, welcome back to Drinks and a Movie. Today we'll be talking about the new horror suspense thriller, A Quiet Place. But first, let's start with a drink, and the drink I just made was called the Sonic Boom, because shh, don't make any sound. The Sonic Boom is really easy. What I just did was 2 parts orange juice, 1 part Blue Curacao, 1.5 parts Malibu Rum, shaken in your shaker, and then put into a Collins glass and topped off with a dash of Grenadine. So let's continue shaking this and we'll talk about A Quiet Place. A Quiet Place is directed, co-written, and stars John Krasinski along with his real-life wife Emily Blunt in this tense as hell, edge of your seat, nail-biting monster horror suspense thriller that is set in the not-too-distant future where oh, look how green that is. Where monsters have somehow arrived on Earth, and the only way they can hunt you and kill you is by their auditory, they're listening, they're blind, but they have amazing hearing, and if you make even the slightest sound, you are done, and I mean done. You're dead. You're dead if you make the even smallest sound. So let's try this drink. Here's the Sonic Boom and A Quiet Place. A Quiet Place is actually quite a brilliant little horror suspense thriller. It really is. It's really well made. And I think it's so good because of 2 things. 1, the directing, and 2, the production design. And we'll start with the directing. John Krasinski directs this really masterfully for such a new director. I think he's only directed a couple other things. So this is new for him. He's, of course, most known as an actor. But this movie is brilliantly directed. The way he frames a shot, the way he shows us, the audience, what might be going on, and not show the characters, just the things he focuses on. And the way he pulls out such great performances from his actors. And there's also this wonderful thing he does with sound and the sound design and the sound editing. This is almost a third lead of this movie. There's Krasinski, there's Emily Blunt, and then there's the sound. Sound is a very important part in this movie, and it is it's wonderful. It's a wonderful device that is used, and not just for an occasional jump scare, which happens, and it's legitimate jump scares, but just the way he uses sound in general. There's a character, their daughter, who's a deaf character, and I believe that the actress herself playing the character is deaf as well, but that doesn't matter. I'll talk about that in a minute. There's this deaf character, and when the camera focuses on this character, the sound gets muffled and muted, and you experience what she's experiencing, and that is just that intertwined with, if any kind of audio happens, it's very I don't want to say in your face, but it tells you that it's not a good thing. So some sound happens, it's loud, and you react just like the characters do, because you just can't make a sound, and that is truly an effective way to create this wonderful atmosphere of this movie. The next thing I want to talk about is the production design, and what I mean by that is that the devil's in the details is what they say, and this movie is evident of that. There are scenes in this that show us this world that has been created by the writers and the directors, and just these little details of like the board game the kids are playing. The pieces are made out of cloth and cotton, and the things they eat on, instead of plates and utensils, they use their hands, and they eat on like either cloth or large pieces of lettuce or stuff like that, and even showing the food in the movie. They show the food that they can eat silently, but things like chip bags are unopened because they would make too much noise, and even to so much to a device that they create to prepare for a coming infant, which it's impossible to keep an infant quiet, but they create this wonderful little device that that it's just so ingenious, just the way that everything is built, the way they've learned to survive is just so fascinating that that is what this movie sets up so well. And last thing I want to mention about this movie that is just wonderful is the acting, really. Most of their performance is done silently, so it's all done with facial expressions and movement and body language, and this is not easy to do. John Krasinski and Emily Blunt are fantastic as always, but their two kids hold their own with them really well. Millicent Simmons and Noah Jupe. Their two kids, Millicent Simmons, the little deaf girl, and their boy Noah Jupe, are really great. Especially the Millicent Simmons, who plays their deaf daughter Rachel, who is really the only character that gets any kind of arc in this movie, and that is kind of what brings me to the negatives of this movie. This movie is a monster suspense thriller at its core, and not much else. And besides what I've already mentioned that are fantastic, like the directing and production design, but not much else, meaning that we don't really know a whole lot about the characters by the end of the movie, except for their deaf daughter Rachel, which gets a really nice arc in this movie. Otherwise, we have the scared and protective dad, we have the scared and protective mom who's pregnant, we have the scared son, and that's it. That's really all we learn about him. We also don't learn a lot about the world they're living in. We know that they've been there for a while, and we know they've adapted as much as they can, but we don't know how or why it happened. We don't know little strange things like how they have electricity when it would be allowed to have electricity. And that's very nitpicky, because they use these things in such a way that is really creative into how to survive in this world where you can't make a sound. But you don't really get much more from this, from the premise of this movie. At the beginning they set up the premise that you can't make a sound or you die, and they follow through with that for the rest of the movie. But that's pretty much it. That's really all you get. But what you get is great. I mean, if you're looking for a nice, suspenseful, like white knuckle, you're grabbing onto things and jumping and having a great time, then this is the movie for you. The only other thing I'll say is that the very end, like almost the last shot of the movie, was very strange and really campy and didn't really fit in with the rest of the movie, and I'm not sure why they did it. But it just kind of left you going, oh, that's weird. I mean, I loved it, but the ending was weird. Anyway, other than that, I thought it was great. I think it's a great time in the movies. The sound is incredible. That alone is worth the price of admission. So highly recommend from me for that. I think it's great. Yeah, let me know what you think if you see it. Otherwise, thanks everybody so much for joining me. Thank you. Have a drink on me. And here's to A Quiet Place. And if you like this, please like, share, subscribe down here in the bottom. Cheers, everybody. Bye-bye.